Hey, RV Sales Pros, welcome back. We are excited to share even more. I've got my anonymous guest with me, and the reason we keep him anonymous is because it could impact his career. He's actually in the industry right now. I'm
Mhm.
also in the industry, but not as worried about it. So we're gonna dive in. I mean, I think of Rocky in the movie Rocky. If he dies, he dies, right?
That's awesome.
If he dies, he dies. Yeah, so we're going to talk today about RV sales techniques and specifically what are some of the shady RV sales tactics that are out there. One that I think of right off the bat is the Foursquare.
Hmm.
Man, one of those things that I look at and
Goes
I'm
back
like,
to the old car business, huh?
oh man, yeah. Talk about confusing a person as you pull out this sheet and you draw a box on it. Like, are we playing tic-tac-toe or what are we doing here?
That would be fun.
You actually come out a little confused on it. I mean, can you describe the Foursquare a little bit?
Yeah, a lot of times there's it's just a handful of things that people have resistance to. And so if the salesman can identify what those things are, then they can go after that. And so they're trying to narrow it down. They also try to confuse you, so they skip quickly through because they want you to be a payment buyer
Right.
most of the time. And so they're going to speak in payment terms, so you don't do math and you don't know what the final number is, and you'll sign to it and agree to it based on payment.
Yeah.
But typically, what is it, Nick? Price, payment, um, the unit.
Yeah. The
What's the
trade
other?
in,
The
trade
trade
in.
in.
Yep.
Hmm.
And so the whole goal of it is to create confusion. I mean, you've got enough information to make a decision, but not enough information to make a decision. And so it's really in favor of the dealership more than anything. I know with people in sales, people buy off of emotion and then they justify with logic, but the logic that they're using is the logic that's in front of them in most cases. So if you haven't done your research, then you're going to rely on that person in front of you as an expert. And if you see them as an expert, then whatever they give you is what you're going to make your justifications with. So really knowing in advance before you go in there and talk to the salesperson, you can find what your payments would be online. You can figure out what your trade is worth on NADA. There are all these things that you can do in advance so that when you get in there, you're ready to go. I,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I would say that you want to negotiate on the out the door number
yeah,
all the time, and remember that because um, that's the key. That is
yeah,
absolutely the key because then you know exactly what you're paying for. Um, if you want to add extras to it, then that's on top of. It just doesn't just magically appear.
yeah.
Uh,
I some of my best sales were when I was clear on what the out the door was, and I know that's one of the tactics right there is to write the purchase price plus TT and L. So they never really write down what tax, title, and license is or what all the fees are, and you can see in there some of the shady things that I see: dealer doc fees, PDI or preparation fees, shipping fees. I mean, these are all negotiable fees. So, like, if you're shipping it, they paid to ship it out here. Why is that your responsibility to pay
right.
for shipping on top of it? A PDI, a walkthrough. I mean, I'm buying the RV from you. You're making a profit on it. Shouldn't you pay for that PDI? A dealer dock fee is a state allowed fee. I've seen them as low as zero, as high as $1,200 on a dealer dock fee
Yeah,
for
and what I'm seeing
processing
is
and
that I don't
titling.
I don't think it's not okay. I think it's okay for a dealership to charge those if they're for real.
Right.
So there's two ways that a dealership could show you some of those fees. They could either include it into the price already,
Perfect. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
they can add it to it. So if you don't want a pre-delivery inspection, if you want it as is, just the way it is currently, you might not get batteries or propane or a detail, a walkthrough. They might not send it back through the shop because a lot of the RVs that come, even brand new, have some issues. It usually takes a few trips out to, or maybe two or three or four or five trips out to kind of debug it, get it all, um, in perfect working condition,
Right.
even though it's brand new from the factory. I would say that's especially true in the last 2 years as COVID has been a thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's actually okay for a dealership to do that. You just want to watch and see that it's a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
say, depending on what they're doing, um, 500 to $1,500 range, maybe. $1,500 being the high side. Um, but typically, I see that a dealership will go through it for somewhere between 3 to 5 hours and
Yeah.
test all the major systems. And so, if they do a PDI, that's what I would make sure that they're testing all the major systems.
Yeah, perfect. I'd want documentation of that, that
Yes.
it's been done because
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember there were times where they said they did it and nobody
N-
checked the unit.
Nobody even did it. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
but
where
then
like a walkthrough orientation, if they do that and show
yeah,
you before you take possession, would be very important.
right.
And it's okay always to slow down the dealership, to take a little bit more time. If you have a walkthrough technician, to talk to them about those things. Say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to see it turned on. Oh, well, it works. No, I want to see it turned on,
Yeah.
and they can go ahead and get that done for you
I
before
think
you take possession.
I think the other thing is on the trade-in. A lot of times they'll just low ball that trade-in. Like unbelievable. People trade in their RVs for convenience. And I think it's fair. Like dealerships should make money. They're putting themselves at risk. They're taking it in. They've got to go through and check it, make sure there aren't any issues.
Hmm.
But a lot of people walk away from a lot of money just because of convenience. Like I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to handle sellers or buyers or any of this. I don't want to list it. And then they leave 10, 20 grand on the table. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they
What,
definitely could. You have to be careful on that too, and make
yeah,
sure it's fair for the dealership to make some money because they've got to
absolutely.
keep the lights on and they've got to pay their employees to turn around and they've also got to list it and turn around and sell it. So there's going to be some costs inherited, but at what point?
Right.
When is fair, and when is it just greed?
Right. Yeah. And that's between you and the dealership, but there's a certain point where it's like it's beyond
Hmm.
fair. And it's mainly because you don't know. You haven't done your research. You don't know what your RV is worth.
Yeah.
And the other thing that people do is they have a loan on it, so they want to roll the negative equity into the new loan, and so they don't care. But the thing is that buries you. We call that burying. You're buried in your RV. You're going to die in it, and you're going to be buried in it. It's
It
like
becomes your casket.
it really does because you're married to that thing for the rest of your life, and then after, your family's got to figure it out and probate. But to roll negative equity in, I mean, there are some cases where you really need to do that, but in a lot of cases, you're putting too much in. I mean, you're not canceling certain things so that you can offset some of that loss.
Yeah, if you
It's
do go that direction too, I would highly recommend, if you're rolling over negative equity, that after after you get the deal done, that you work on paying more, to
yeah,
buy that down over time,
right.
and not by more. I wouldn't put like $5 extra towards the loan every month. I'm talking like at least
Five
50 to a
bucks.
hundred bucks, and a month, just
Yeah,
adding extra, trying to get to where you're paying double payments, something, or you get a tax return back.
yeah.
Pile it down on it when you can. Otherwise, you will be negative for a very long time, and when you go to turn that in, you're going to be in a very bad situation.
So
Um,
here's another thing I'm learning too is the Truth in Lending Act. Saying that you can have a discount if you pay cash over financing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's an
Uh,
interesting thing. I've seen that a lot in the RV industry too.
yeah,
That
uh,
happens a lot, and I don't know that it's even legal.
yeah. I don't know that it is either. I mean, the truth is that the price is the price, whether you pay cash or financing, and so whatever you negotiate is what you negotiate. So
Yep. Now I know that dealers like to give a discount to incentivize, as long as they're open about what that discount is, and that it's a real discount,
right,
that it's not just adding, instead of coming off the number a certain amount off the MSRP, just to say they have a discount,
right,
but they would have sold it for that amount anyway.
right,
Um, is You just want to make sure that that is a real number, because the banks do pay, the dealerships back for a little bit for servicing the loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
there is money that goes back to the dealership. You just want to make sure that it's a real number, that is a real discount.
Right.
I know of dealerships that just say, "Oh yeah, see, there's like a $1,500 finance discount incentive in that price."
Right.
Uh, there is, huh?
Yeah. And man, we buy into it like hook, line, and sinker, like all the way to the gut. It's like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
that also triggered like when you go into finance and you're going to buy warranties too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I highly recommend them. We've done a video on them. I think they're important,
Definitely worth it. Yep.
definitely
I think
worth it.
so.
But I would also make sure that the one thing that a lot of dealerships do is they'll say, "Hey, congratulations, you got approved, and your payment is X."
Right.
And
Right.
inside of that payment is you got approved for warranties, and so you'll get this for this payment.
Yeah.
They'll try to take you back to the payment buyer. Make sure you know what those final costs are. Had a situation where a customer had purchased, and this wasn't me, but had purchased a unit, um, and the reason why they went with the unit that we had at our dealership was because it was $15,000 cheaper, and it was all about price for them. It wasn't the same type of unit, but it was $15,000 cheaper than another one they were looking at. By the time they got out the door and came to pick it up, they had finally read through a little bit of their contract and what they had agreed to, and it was about the same price as the other one they were looking at, and they came in and lost their mind because essentially the finance team had added an extra $15,000 to their loan without telling them
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I've
exacts.
seen that.
So, that's where you would want to, get clear on the dollar amounts that you're spending on particular warranty products.
Yeah. I think the big thing here is just know your information before you go in. Like do your homework. Caveat emptor, right? Like the buyer bewares. You do your homework. Go do your NADA values. Know what warranties run on these. Try and get some estimates before you go in. Know what monthly payments would look like for the interest rates that you're looking at, depending on your credit score. Don't go in there with a 500 credit score expecting a 599 rate, right? Like calculate it at 18% because that's where it's going to be. Like
Yep.
if you get approved. So like be realistic too is you're not going to get things for free, but make sure that the value's there. So
Exactly. Exactly. And we kind of make it sound like all dealerships are some sort of criminals. They're not. They're not at
no,
all.
uh-uh.
There's a few that impact the rest of the world,
Yep.
and so, but these are things that you need to know because it could be on a salesman level as well. So if you get a salesman who's a little bit sneaky, these could be some like good tips that could help you through the buying process that could save you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's our goal is just to look out for yourself because they're looking out for them. So
Yeah,
find a way to make sure that you're educated as well. So
for sure.
guys, yeah, awesome. Anything else?
I think that's pretty decent little list right there that gets you going. That right there would save
Yeah,
some people a lot of money.
I think so. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Go out there, be a sales pro, and we'll see you in the next video.